3D printing. They call it additive manufacturing because you make objects by adding liquid plastic a layer at a time using a computer program. This technology has actually been around for years.
So over the years, the machines have improved, the materials have improved, and the big emphasis today is really on the metal printers. So the metal printers are today capable of producing fully functional 100% dense metal parts.
And not just any old parts, body parts to be exact. Surgeons at the North Carolina State College of Veterinary Medicine are 3D printing custom prostheses for animals that have lost a limb.
We can design an implant that will match the shape of a specific bone, and this implant will be connected to the leg, in this case to the calcaneus of this leg. And then we can merge the soft tissue with that implant and have kind of a permanently anchored implant.
They've performed nearly a dozen such implant surgeries and believe it's only a matter of time before these custom prostheses will be commonly used in humans.
Doing custom design of different types of implants. So anything from a maxillofacial, craniofacial reconstruction to a custom hip or a knee implant or something like that.
That's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It is, but it has been in the works for many years. So people have been working on this for probably the past 15 years on the metal side. It started out very simple, but today the machines are getting very sophisticated, that we can do more and more complex types of structures, so we can do fairly unique implants that you wouldn't be able to do any other way.
For instance, a patient whose skull was damaged and a section had to be removed could have an implant designed to fit that opening exactly.
Take a CT scan of a patient, we can isolate the anatomy that we're interested in, and we can custom design an implant that will only fit that particular patient.
This was made on a 3D printer here at NC State. These strings act like tendons in your fingers. It just shows the potential for this technology is virtually endless. In fact, a Phoenix company 3D printed a car, and it works. This battery-powered car is made up of only 49 parts, most of them 3D printed, except things like tires, or the battery, or the windshield. The moving parts are made with very porous connective material that can be easily separated once printed. Experts say this is manufacturing's future.
Probably within the next 5 years, you're going to have several of the large aerospace companies are going to switch their production to using additive. So that's a big push in that industry.
What would they make?
They will make all their mechanical components. The jet engines is one of the big, so you're talking about all the turbine blades, injectors, things like that. So all the small components that go into these the jet engines.
So you're basically talking about changing manufacturing as we know it.
Completely, yes.
And if that isn't enough innovation for you, here at NC State, one of the country's top 5 additive manufacturing programs in the country, they're working with new biological materials that, when fed into a 3D printer, make living tissue. So you're creating tissue, planting it into a person, and it grows.
Absolutely. The beauty of this is why 3D printing, where 3D printing comes in, is, cells, human cells, animal cells, they are very smart. But if you put them in a petri dish, they will grow, they will multiply, but they will never form that 3D structure that you need in your organs. So cells need that structural support, that guidance. And that is what 3D printing helps with.
These tiny objects are called scaffolds, which create the structure needed, say, for cartilage in the knee. In fact, this flexible scaffold can make a human ear. Once the tissue grows on the scaffold, it can be attached to the patient and over time become part of the body.
Cartilage and muscle tissue and bone, and so there are a lot of different types of structures that we're trying to grow these days.
This will revolutionize medicine, correct?
It could be. There's still a long way to go. There are some types of tissues that are been explored more than others. But there is a whole other side to that, and that is that if you can grow pieces of tissue, you can use those pieces of tissue for drug screening, so for new drug development. So you can actually look at the real organ, piece of an organ, and see how it reacts to different types of drugs.
All this is still in the development stage, but experts believe implant surgery will never be the same again.
You know, if you look at implants 50 years ago, they looked horrible, and 20 years ago, you know, from 40 years ago to 20 years ago, they didn't change that much, but now our computers are helping us understand mechanics better. Our implants were already becoming more sophisticated.
Because these new types of implants will actually grow into the body, they will need rigorous testing and improvements in infection control.
And ultimately, we want them to be very resistant to infection, which I think is the largest hurdle to have this more widely applied.
With these grown tissues, usually you use the patient's own cells to grow it, so there's no risk for the rejection, but you might have that you don't get the same function as you want. Another big risk is that it turns out that when you're growing tissues like this, it's a lot easier to grow cancerous tissue than healthy tissue.
Really?
So you need to kind of be careful that you have a good quality control system in place so that you can make sure that you're not putting a cancerous piece of organ into a patient.
So there is clearly much more work to be done, but the industry has come so far so fast that it surprises even those doing the research. Did you ever dream when you were an undergraduate in engineering that you would ever design body parts?
Absolutely not. So I'm a production engineer by training, and I've done internships in Harley Davidson, for example, where I worked with conventional manufacturing. I said, hey, this is beautiful. You know, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, make motorcycles. But then as a part of graduate school, I was exposed. I attended seminars and I was exposed to this world of biomedical.
Researchers not only encourage students to get into this quickly changing field, they urge schools to incorporate it into engineering classes.
So we need to teach our students to design for the additive processes instead for the traditional processes.
Custom implants, body parts, living tissue. The sky's the limit in this new field. Clearly, additive processing is adding an exciting new future to manufacturing, one layer at a time.